Your heart feel as though it has been waiting too long for relief? Listen carefully, because this is not the end of your story. Your rescue is coming. It may not arrive in the shape you expected, on the schedule you preferred, or through the hands you had hoped for, but it is coming, because the God who sees you has not forgotten your cry. The same Lord who heard the groaning of his people in Egypt still hears the groaning of his children now. The same God who opened the Red Sea still makes a way where there is no way. The same Father who sent help at the exact right moment in Scripture is still moving in hidden places, arranging what you cannot see, and preparing your deliverance before you even know how to pray for it. So breathe deeply and let your spirit settle for a moment. You are not abandoned. You are not beyond help. You are not too late. Rescue is not a rumor for you. Rescue is your portion. There are seasons when the night feels endless. You lie awake with questions pressing on your chest, and you wonder whether anyone sees how much you have endured. You have smiled in public while your soul has been trembling in private. You have carried burdens that no one knows about, and some of them are too heavy to explain. But the Lord is not blind to hidden suffering. Psalm 34 verse 17 says, "The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles." That is not a poetic suggestion. That is a living promise. When your cry rises from the depths of your heart, it does not vanish into the air. It reaches the throne of God. Heaven hears what people overlook. Heaven notices what the world ignores. Heaven responds to the tears you wipe away when no one is watching. Sometimes rescue begins quietly, long before it appears visibly. A door closes, and at first you think you are being rejected, but in truth you are being redirected. A relationship ends, and you think you have lost everything, but in truth God is protecting your future. A delay frustrates you, but that delay may be keeping you from a trap. The rescue of God is often disguised as interruption. It may feel like silence, but silence is not absence. It may feel like waiting, but waiting is not wasting. It may feel like nothing is happening, but behind the curtain of the visible world, the Lord is working in places your eyes cannot reach. Isaiah 65 verse 24 says, "Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear." Think about that. Before the prayer is finished, the answer is already in motion. Before the tears dry, the rescue is being prepared. Before the enemy completes his plan, God has already written a better ending. Your rescue is coming because God specializes in impossible situations. He loves the moments when human strength is exhausted, because then his power is seen clearly. When Moses stood before the sea with Pharaoh behind him and mountains on both sides, there was no human solution. Yet Exodus 14 verses 13 to 14 says, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Imagine that. Stand firm. Be still. See the salvation of the Lord. In the most frightening moment, when the people were trapped between death and destruction, God made a highway through the water. He did not negotiate with the sea. He did not ask permission from Pharaoh. He did not consult the statistics of the situation. He simply spoke, and the impossible obeyed. That same God still speaks into trapped places. He still opens what is shut. He still parts what blocks your path. He still brings salvation to those who cannot save themselves. Maybe you feel trapped right now. Trapped by fear. Trapped by grief. Trapped by temptation. Trapped by addiction. Trapped by the weight of regret. Trapped by financial pressure. Trapped by loneliness. Trapped by a diagnosis. Trapped by a situation that seems too tangled to undo. But I want you to remember Paul and Silas in prison. Their feet were fastened. Their future seemed sealed. Their backs were bleeding. Their circumstances were unjust. Yet at midnight they prayed and sang praises to God, and suddenly there was a violent earthquake that shook the prison foundations, opened the doors, and broke the chains. Act 16 reminds us that praise can become a weapon and worship can become a doorway. Sometimes the rescue you are praying for begins when you stop focusing on the prison and start magnifying the God who enters prisons. Praise does not deny pain. Praise declares that pain does not have the final word. Chains can fall in the presence of worship. Doors can swing open under the sound of praise. The rescue of God often arrives where faith is singing in the dark. Do not let the delay convince you that God has withdrawn his hand. The enemy loves to whisper that silence means abandonment. He wants you to interpret waiting as rejection and hardship as punishment. But Romans 8 verse 28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." All things, not just the comfortable things, not just the obvious blessings, not just the prayers answered in the way you preferred. All things, even the slow things, even the confusing things, even the painful things, even the broken things. God is weaving together what you cannot yet understand. A rescue is not always a sudden explosion of relief. Sometimes it is a series of merciful steps. Sometimes it is strength for one more day. Sometimes it is peace before the problem changes. Sometimes it is wisdom to walk out of danger. Sometimes it is an unexpected helper sent just in time. But make no mistake, the Lord is a rescuer. Psalm 121 verses 1 and 2 says, "I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth." Your help does not come from chance. It does not come from luck. It does not come from the approval of people. It comes from the maker of heaven and earth. Think of Daniel in the lion's den. The decree had been signed. The punishment had been pronounced. The stone had been set. Humanly speaking, there was no rescue. But Daniel 6 tells us that God shut the mouths of the lions. He did not remove the den. He did not prevent Daniel from entering it. He revealed his power inside it. That is how God often works. Sometimes he does not keep you out of the pit. He keeps the pit from destroying you. Sometimes he does not stop the fire from being heated. He walks with you in the fire and removes the power of the flames to consume you. Sometimes he does not stop the storm from forming. He calms your heart in the middle of it. Rescue means more than escape. Rescue means preservation. Rescue means deliverance. Rescue means that what was meant to destroy, you cannot do it because the hand of God is upon you. You may have been under attack in ways that are hard to explain. There are seasons when the pressure seems coordinated. Problems arrive one after another. Peace is hard to find. Sleep is thin. Courage feels weak. Yet the word reminds us in Psalm 46 verse 1, "God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble." Ever present. Not sometimes present. Not occasionally present. Ever present. Right there in the hospital room. Right there in the courtroom. Right there in the lonely apartment. Right there in the addiction recovery room. Right there in the grief that has no words. Right there in the uncertain waiting room of life. You may feel surrounded by trouble, but you're also surrounded by his presence. The child of God is never truly alone in the valley. The shepherd walks there too. Sometimes rescue comes by changing the situation. Sometimes it comes by changing the person. And sometimes it comes by changing the way you see the situation. The same Paul who prayed 3 times for the thorn to be removed also heard God say, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. Paul did not receive the answer he requested, but he received a deeper rescue. He learned how to depend on grace. Some rescues remove the burden. Other rescues transform the burden into a testimony. Some rescues make the road easy. Other rescues make the soul strong enough to walk the road with dignity. God's rescue is never late because he is not only rescuing your circumstances, he is rescuing your spirit, your faith, your future, and your eternal purpose. The world teaches you to panic when there is lack, but Jesus teaches you to trust the Father's care. In Matthew 6, he points to the birds and the lilies, and he asks whether your life is not worth more than they are. He says not to worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Why? Because worry does not create rescue. Worry only drains the strength you need to stand in faith. Worry multiplies fear in the imagination, but produces no bread in the pantry. It gives you sleeplessness, but not solutions. It steals today's peace and borrows from tomorrow's strength. God never asked you to carry the future. He asked you to trust Him with it. That trust is not passive. It is active surrender. It is the deliberate decision to say, Lord, I do not know how, but I know you. I do not see the answer, but I know your character. I do not understand the timing, but I trust your wisdom. There is an old story of a man crossing a river on a narrow bridge during a storm. The wind was strong, the water was wild, and the bridge swayed under his feet. Halfway across, he became terrified and froze. Then a guide behind him said, "Keep moving. Do not stare at the water. Look ahead." The man said, "I'm afraid I will fall." The guide replied, "Then lean on the rope. The rope will hold you." That is what faith is like. The storm below is real. The bridge is narrow. The fear is loud. But the rope holds. The rope is the promise of God. The rope is His word. The rope is His faithfulness across generations. Lean on the rope. Keep moving. Do not stare too long at the waters beneath your feet. Your rescue is coming, and the rope will not break. Maybe you have been asking, "How long, Lord?" That question is not unbelief. It is the language of a tired heart. David asked similar questions in the Psalms. The prophets asked them. The saints asked them. Even Jesus in His human suffering cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" God is not offended by honest lament. But lament must not become despair. Lament brings pain into the presence of God. Despair shuts the door and says there is no hope. Psalm 13 begins with a cry, "How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever?" But it ends with trust. "I will sing the Lord's praise, for He has been good to me." That is the journey. Cry honestly, but do not settle there. Ask the hard question, but do not abandon the hope. The same God who welcomes your tears also teaches your heart to sing again. Your rescue is coming, and it may arrive through means you did not expect. God often uses ordinary people in extraordinary ways. He used a little boy's lunch. He used a widow's last meal. He used a shepherd boy with a sling. He used a pagan king's decree to elevate Joseph. He used a burning bush to call Moses. He used a star to lead wise men. He used a fish to supply a tax payment. He used a donkey to warn Balaam. He used a small cloud the size of a man's hand to announce rain after a long drought. In 1 Kings 18, Elijah saw that tiny cloud and knew the rain was coming. The cloud was small, but the promise behind it was massive. That is how rescue can look at first. Small, quiet, easy to miss, yet carrying the weight of heaven's answer. Don't despise small beginnings. Don't ignore the first sign of mercy. Don't overlook the gentle nudge, the open door, the unexpected message, the timely provision, the moment of peace, the inner conviction, the sudden wisdom, the friend who appears, the idea that stirs, the strength that returns. These are all signs that rescue is on the way. When God rescues, He does more than deliver. He restores. He does more than get you out. He heals what the trouble did to you. Joel 2 verse 25 says, "I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten." That is the language of restoration. The years, not just the days, not just the weeks, the years of wasted effort, the years of tears, the years of lost opportunities, the years of grief, the years of the enemy's theft. God can restore time in the way only He can. He can take what the locust devoured and bring forth new fruit. He can take what was barren and make it blossom. He can take what was broken and make it beautiful. Rescue is not just escape from darkness. Rescue is being brought into light with scars that no longer control you. If you are in a pit, remember Joseph. If you are in a fire, remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. If you are in a storm, remember the boat in the lake and the words, "Peace, be still." If you are in a cave, remember David. If you are in a prison, remember Paul. If you are in a wilderness, remember manna. If you are at the end of your rope, remember the cross. The cross looked like defeat, but it was rescue. The tomb looked like closure, but it was not the end. The resurrection proved that what appears finished to men can still be the beginning of God's deliverance. The grave could not keep Jesus. Death could not keep Jesus. Sin could not keep Jesus. And because he lives, your rescue is not a fairy tale. It is anchored in resurrection power. There is a difference between human rescue and divine rescue. Human rescue often fixes the surface. Divine rescue changes the source. Human rescue says, let's get you out of the danger. Divine rescue says, let me also heal the fear that made the danger so overwhelming. Human rescue removes the symptom. Divine rescue addresses the wound. Human rescue may save the moment. Divine rescue saves the soul. This is why the Lord sometimes allows you to wait. Not because he is cruel, but because he is thorough. He is not interested in temporary relief that leaves you broken again. He wants deep deliverance. He wants lasting freedom. He wants a rescue that changes your story and strengthens your witness. The Bible says in Psalm 18, verse 2, "The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold." Notice the strength in those words. Rock, fortress, deliverer, shield, stronghold. These are not fragile images. They are not temporary images. They are not weak images. They are images of unshakable security. When every earthly support shakes, God remains solid. When every door closes, he remains a fortress. When every voice disappoints, he remains a deliverer. When the enemy advances, he remains a shield. When your heart is weak, he remains your stronghold. Perhaps your rescue must begin with a change in what you feed your mind. What you repeatedly watch, hear, and dwell on can either deepen your fear or strengthen your faith. Romans 12, verse 2 calls you to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. A mind filled with doom will magnify every threat. A mind filled with the Word will remember that the battle is not yours alone. Fix your eyes on what is true. The devil wants you to live in the worst-case scenario. God calls you to live in promise. The enemy says it will never change. God says, I make all things new. The enemy says you are trapped. God says, I am the way. The enemy says you are alone. God says, I am with you always. The enemy says there is no future. God says, I know the plans I have for you. When your rescue comes, and it will come, you will look back and see that even the hardest days were not wasted. The tears watered seeds. The waiting deepened roots. The pressure revealed what was real. The fire burned away what could not remain. The storm taught you that the boat was never your security. The wilderness taught you that manna is enough. The prison taught you that praise can break chains. The valley taught you that the shepherd's presence is more precious than the absence of danger. Your rescue is coming, and with it will come a testimony that can strengthen someone else. You will not merely say, I survived. You will say, the Lord delivered me. The Lord carried me. The Lord restored me. The Lord was faithful. So tonight, do not surrender to fear. Surrender to God. Do not bow to the weight of what you cannot control. Bow before the one who controls all things with perfect wisdom and perfect love. Speak to your soul with Scripture. Say, the Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. Say, God is my refuge and strength. Say, the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. Say, my help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Say, the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. Say, weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. Say, the Lord will fight for me. Say, he who promised is faithful. Your words matter when they are joined to faith. And if all you can manage tonight is a whisper, let it be this, Lord, rescue me. If all you can pray is, help me, he hears that too. If all you can offer is brokenness, he receives it. If all you can bring is fear, he can handle it. If all you have is a trembling hand reaching for his, that is enough. The Father runs toward surrendered hearts. The Son intercedes for weary souls. The Spirit comforts the fainting. Heaven is not indifferent to your pain. Heaven is moving. Rescue is coming. Not maybe, not perhaps, coming. So rest now under the promise of God. The night is not forever. The pit is not permanent. The prison is not your destiny. The storm is not your home. The wilderness is not your final chapter. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. He binds up wounds. He opens doors. He sends help. He restores hope. He turns mourning into dancing. He turns ashes into beauty. He turns despair into praise. Your rescue is coming, and when it arrives, you will know that it was the hand of God all along.